Hi, this is Babs Olugbemi, and welcome to another edition of the Firelighter with Babs. Today, I have my guest, and I would like to tell you my guest was at a time the youngest Assistant General Manager at the United Bank for Africa PSC. He was at a time the Managing Director of Guardian Express Nigeria PSC, and at a time the Chairperson of the Ebonyi State Board of Internal Revenue. Today, I have the pleasure to bring to you Mr. Mike Chukwu. Mr. Mike Chukwu, good afternoon. Welcome to the Firelighter with Babs Olugbemi.
Thank you very much.
I would like to tell you a story. In 1999 or thereabout, a young man wanted to serve at the UBA, United Bank for Africa PSC. And at that point, it was said that you need to know somebody of a designation of AGM and above. So somebody took that person's CV to Mike Chukwu. And Mike Chukwu didn't know that person. But on that CV, Mike saw that this person is a chartered accountant right from school. And he decided to sign on that CV. And that person got the job as a NYSC staff and later on become one of the best bankers in town. So Mr. Mike Chukwu, I want to ask you, it's like the good men do follow them. The story is about 20-something years old, and I'm here telling you, why is it that right from the beginning of your career, you chose to invest in people? You chose to look at people more than what they are and look and put something in them.
Well, you already answered the question. Whatever good you do always comes back to you. I'm also a product of people's help and mercy. My story of how I started my career. I had a similar experience. I started my career in Pricewaterhouse in 1985. And on the day the interview, the written test was conducted. I missed the test because I was serving in a rural community. I took a chance, went to Pricewaterhouse Kaduna office where I applied through. And I met a gentleman called Mr. Andrew Jaja, who later on he was the partner in charge of that office. And I walked into the office and I said, "Sorry, sir, I got your letter on the day of the interview, of the test." He said, "Are you ready to write a test?" I said, "Yes." They took me into a room and administered the test. So, and if I give you an account of how my career developed, I was a beneficiary of people's kindness. So it's something that I just feel a sense of obligation to do, to give back. But beyond that, you find the training I got both at home, in all my training, in school, in my career. The people that make a difference are the people who have people following them. You have to have people who admire you, who look up to you, who you inspire. In all history, the people who are most remembered are those who had the greatest impact on people's lives. Not necessarily people who had so much in their pockets, you know. And there are so many people in Nigeria who are not necessarily very rich people, but you find that people who inspire people, you know, when people talk about their role models, that they're not necessarily those who have money, but there are people who inspire them to do greater things. So I have a history of benefiting from people's kindness, and therefore I think I have an obligation to continue to do the same thing.
Thank you for that. But in this dispensation, you see corporate leaders or leaders in political positions chasing personal benefits, chasing to be on the Forbes list. How can we recover our value system back? It seems we have lost certain things.
We have certainly lost it. There's no doubt about it. If you look at the quality of leaders we had in the 50s and the 60s, people like Awo, people like Zeke, you can go back to their writings and you see they had certain belief of emancipating their people. If you look at the free education that Awo did in the West, it was something that opened up the space. Because the difference between one man or one child and the other child is opportunities.
Yeah.
Okay. So it still comes back to the issue of leadership. The day we get the leaders with the right orientation, they are going to create a new path of development for Nigeria where you don't need to know anybody to become. At the end of the day, if you look at it, you know, somebody said the difference between us and the Western societies is that in the Western society, if you look at countries like the Scandinavian countries, the difference is that the emphasis is on public wealth, not private wealth. So when you look at things like good road, regular electricity supply, general security for everybody. You don't need to spend money to acquire those things. But in our environment, you find a millionaire who has to build a big house. You know, in my days as a banker, I went to visit a customer in Nnewi, and they took me to visit him, and we drove on an untarred road into one remote area, and then we now got there and saw one big mighty house. He had a big security outfit, he had big generator. So, unfortunately, we are not getting the kind of leaders who can focus our people's mind on the greater things that liberate the spirit. You know, things like common good, common wealth, common welfare. And therefore, there is that tendency for people to recline into a mood of, let me grab. So there's a scarcity, what I call scarcity mentality. You know, you need to grab as much as you can grab. Whereas, if we had public good, public security, commonwealth, then you don't need all these things. At the end of the day, if you have one house, you don't need 20 houses, you know. So when you now hear stories of governors or senators or ministers who have stolen from the public till to build 100 houses, are you asking, you can't really live in one room, so what are you doing with the others? And then you hear somebody steals 100 billion or 80 billion, and you ask yourself, what are you doing with that money? You know, what your daily needs, particularly as you get older in age, are very, very limited. You know, at a point, doctors will even ask you not to eat things that make you happy. You know, maybe they will say, don't eat eggs, don't eat beef, don't eat, and then they'll tell you eat certain things in moderate quantities. So why are you stealing all that money? So it comes back to a reorientation, and that reorientation will start from a leadership. You know, it is agreeable that all of us have a shared responsibility to build that culture. But what is lacking is that leadership that will drive the process, that would, you know, create a, you know, that will lead by example.
A form of transformational leader.
Absolutely, a transformational leader who will lead by example. Because again, we've had situations in the past where you had leaders who espoused these ethical values, but they didn't live by it.
Live by example.
So the best form of leadership is one that espouses, but more importantly, leads by example and leads from the front.
Okay. My last question is going to take you back to the corporate world, where you make your impact. I met you in 1999 at UBA, and you moved to Guidance Express as the MD. You move out of the banking industry. You've served in public sector. Now, for people in the corporate world, what type of advice will you give leaders in the corporate world? We want to build sustainable institutions, not organizations again. Organization is different from institution. We want to build institution where a son of nobody can come in there and become somebody, where skill set, behavioral set will be more valued, where emotional intelligence. So what advice will you give? I know you do some training, some coaching. So what advice will you give to corporate leaders on how to build sustainable institutions?
The first is to go back to the issue of values. You know, if you're a corporate leader, there must be values that drive you as an individual, and therefore you can imbue members of your team with those same values. And those values revolve around issues of ethics. You know, what do you believe in? You know, when you hear, for example, these days, bankers who are competing with people in the show business, you're asking yourself, is that the right value system? Okay, so start with the value system, then create a team around you. And in creating a team around you, create a team of people who are competent. The job of a leader, you know, when I became a CEO, you know, I found out that I needed to create space for myself to think on the strategic issues. So the job of a leader is not to allow yourself to be clouded by operational issues. So you need to have a strong team who are focused on the operational items, you know, issues, so you can focus on the bigger issues of strategy. And the bigger issues of strategy are issues of the vision for the organization, big picture of where you want to take the organization to, the mission, the values, and then you have a team that will take those things, believe in it, buy into it, and then they can now spread the gospel. So you need to have that team built around you. And then build an institution where meritocracy reigns. You know, when I say meritocracy, it comes down to how are people recruited, how are people promoted, how are people rewarded. And then when we mention issue of reward, people come to work with an expectation that much as they're impacting on the organization in terms of creating value, they want the organization to also impact on them. So let it be a win-win situation. You find many organizations where year in, year out, they declare billions in profit. And then you now get there, you find a crop of staff who are dissatisfied because they feel they too are not winning. So you need to create a winning organization where people are rewarded for the work they do, and they create and they have an ownership mentality with regards to that business or the institution.
Thank you, Mr. Mike Chukwu. Oh, today we came here with an award for you from my team at Positive Growth Africa. We are not for-profit organization known for taking leadership, patriotism, education to the youth. We do leadership coaching and training. We are here to present to you the Firelighter Award for being an investor in people. Indeed, you are an investor in people, and for imparting posterity positively. So congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
So on behalf
Thank
of,
you very much.
So we are presenting this award for you. Can we have your response, sir?
Well, thank you so very much. This is very much appreciated. Some of the time, small things like this bring some grace to you because it tells you you must have done the right things. And therefore, I would like to use the opportunity to dedicate this award to those who have also made me see the light. As I said to you, I'm a beneficiary of people's kindness, people who opened my eyes to the right path. In my early career, I didn't know anybody. I worked into Pricewaterhouse, and I didn't know anybody, and people recruited me. And along my career path, I've also been a beneficiary of people's help. So I would like to dedicate it to all those who inspired me and who helped me to find that right path. And then I will hope that others can be inspired by this award to also do those things that will enable them reach the pinnacle of their career and impact people. It is only when everybody is impacted that the society is benefiting. And you don't light a candle and hide it under a bushel. So if you are being lit, make sure you light others. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Until I see you on this program again, I would like to say, if you have somebody who has impacted your life or who has touched the lives of others, you can quickly go to our website, www.babsolugbemi.org or www.positivegrowthafrica.com to fill our Firelighter Award nomination form. We'll review those forms and we'll get in touch with you. So until I see you again, have a nice day. Thank you.